So I think I get lost in the translations. So I hope the term I choose will be not a complete disaster. So, and I will, and I have to apologize because I will read because of my my mind thinks in Spanish, so I have to read it. Well, these are not the terms.
It's not
Okay. I use a Guarani term that is an indigenous language. Okay.
No.
Here, it's ñande and ore. There are two words, but I will explain. Guarani is a native language, but it was colonized too. It was colonized by the Jesuits who came to Paraguay in the 17th century and who equipped the language with writing and grammar. So they ordered the language. Given the language became a regional lingua franca of sorts, it persisted in time to later become one of Paraguay's official languages, along with Spanish. Although native Guarani is not quite the same as the one spoken by the majority of population, it shares with it not only its origin, but also several meanings and terms of phrases, firmly rooted in the linguistic configuration of Paraguay inhabitants, even those who, like me, speak Spanish. It's like a configuration of our minds that is a little bit different. Okay. We in Paraguay, Guarani is the language that the majority of the population speaks in Paraguay, and there are two different words for the first person plural. Ñande is an inclusive one, and ore an exclusive one. That is, ñande includes the recipient of the statement, ore excludes her. An example, if I say to you that we all eat a cake, we'll eat a cake, okay? That is ñande. We all here will eat a cake, okay? If I say to you that we will eat a cake, but I don't invite you a piece, I will use ore. So, I'm sorry, but me and my friends will eat a delicious cake you won't. Okay, that is clear.
Good example.
Yeah? Yes?
Yes.
A party would yeah, no, a party is like movie, whatever. Since the beginning, starting from language itself, we does not have a totalizing or homogenizing status. In Guarani culture, and by extension, the culture of Paraguay, different registers exist to name ourselves, and therefore, for us to become community, society, citizenry. These two versions of we configure in some manner and on the basis of language a different way of understanding identity too. This differentiation between the we that includes and that which excludes occurs only within the relationship between the speaker and the recipient of the statement. It's only in this relationship that it occurs. The person who speaks and names herself along with others would include or exclude said recipient following to the demarcation she sets, and will change when the recipient or her function within the statement changes to. This idea of a we with porous borders, like that is modified according to the idea of belonging or not belonging to a social or cultural group, is one that may serve the purpose of thinking about new ways of conceiving institutions, of thinking about otherness, or constructing identities, or citizenship as well. I will now try to relate the term to my own practices, the space where I work. So I want to talk about first the boundaries, but that the thin line that separates the use of ñande or ore, like the boundary as a permeable, porous territory susceptible to contamination. I think there is no need to clarify. I think that boundary here is not only the space on both sides of a border, a political border, but also perhaps intra-national borders too, boundaries. The many boundaries we trespass without having to cross a specific border. Yes, they are invisible, perhaps. To a native, for example, to a Guarani native or whatever, negotiation with national society is a way of crossing a boundary. A game of give and take that spans reconfiguring a ritual in order to avoid its prohibition by ecclesiastical power, to protest in the capital city that force them to mobilize and occupy urban spaces, while bourgeois society watches on askance with disapproval. The boundaries that mark territory, that marked within a territory, are the boundaries that regulate the bodies that inhabit those spaces, the bodies that move through them and sue. And I like to think as the body that sue, thus almost with invisible mending, that other cartography of their being in the world. I brought 3 subjects to be used as devices, I think, to think the terms ñande and ore. And one of them is a ritual. I want to think with a linguistic specialist Bartomeu Meliá, that we always think about, we in Paraguay and in Latin America, we think about indigenous as issues, as problems, the indigenous problem. And he says, Meliá says, that we maybe must think in indigenous solutions to our problems. The other way around. Not in the way Senka today says that narrators are taken, this concept is taken of this oral history, and that indigenous solutions to our problems is not. It's the same thing. It's not. It's not talk about the concept. The concept. It's not talk. It's not talk about living in this type of culture. It's only as, for example, other languages may give us other words, concepts to think about and to think and cross it and be like, how do you say, como que te contagien? Contagion? Yeah. Okay, this is a ceremony, it calls Areteguazú, divides time in 2 and impose an interruption of 3 days in the Guarani community of Santa Teresita in the Paraguayan Chaco. Chaco is a region, it's a geographic region. That is in Paraguay, Argentina, Bolivia, and a little bit in Brazil too. Those days are enough to renovate, those 3 days are enough to renovate a social contract, to reaffirm and to mediate in conflicts. This parenthesis allows the extraordinary to enter the coming days. They use masks to play different roles in the ceremony, those masks. The mask could be seen, as it is described by Bakhtin, as a negation of the identity and of the soul sense, as an expression of the transferences. The mask appears to awake other social roles. It is the party, as in the other side of time, that the sense is renewed and the mask is a catalyst. In this case, it does not cover the face, but it reveals the true social one. Through the mask, the social body is stripped, and in the act of covering the face, different faces of the same social body are shown. The mask imposes a distortion that allows contingency to penetrate the ring. From here, other political and social maps are drawn. That is how masking, or that effect that the mask seeks, can be understood as a condition of being and not being, that which is hidden, to be revealed. One of the many possible origins of the word mask, as in Latin mascus, alludes to the ghost, that which is a contingency in itself. What is and what is not, what is left in the threshold of a door, reaching in, a huge thread with no apparent end. Imposing mask is to know you have been taken. When the Guarani impose the mask of an ancestor, they do not represent him. It is and it is not at the same time the ancestor. When they impose that of an animal, it is and it is not that animal, and so forth with each of them. The to be and not to be, and at the end of the Arete Wasu, when the mask is left behind, where they bury their loved ones, when they replace the mask with their own visage, that in the case of a native is to be and not to be too. The native, that figure that still does not count with his rights in a country as Paraguay, that turns them into phantasmagoria. Yeah. Well, and this is Freddy Casco's work, an artist, that he chooses this ritual too, to open a space in the very center of this phantasmagoria. He sees it in some way. Because this ritual is in fact one of the most stubborn expressions of difference in Paraguay. Because they resist, they still doing it. They are doing it. I think now, because for like 2 weeks. Okay. Therein lies a limit broken by the ritual, and which Freddy Casco points to. With his gesture, he opens a slit in the small history of the national, the official history, the hallucination of difference, its enormous dust cloud filled with dance, with celebration, which has the power to renovate time and start anew, pushing fate away, in a way. He said there are some photographs and there are a video too, if you want to I can show the video later in my computer. So in order to close these two examples, I brought something else. I will talk about the Museo del Barro, in which in the institution I work. I hope you understand why. The translation of Museo del Barro will be something like Museum of Mud. Why mud? Because Josefina Pla, she was a great thinker, the woman that took us Paraguayan to think critically of our images, our place in the world. Well, she always said that the mud was the material of which dreams are made. So we dream a lot. The Museo del Barro in Asunción immerses the visitor in a collection of images and objects, often in a somewhat disordered fashion, not all categorized or classified in the way such institutions tend to present them. Museo del Barro houses collections of popular art, ethnic art, as well as several expressions of erudite art, with all this. Yes. It seeks to erase the distinct ways of classifying art, doing away with the boundaries between popular, indigenous, and, for example, urban artists. Thus, the Museo del Barro preserves the ambiguity of being a museum without totally being a museum. It attempts to skirt the boundaries of the concept of a museum, while at the same time renders this concept ill-fitting and permeable. It is an art museum as fluid as the definition of art itself, which here has tried to include, in the words of Paraguayan art scholar Ticio Escobar, the beauty of the other. The treatment of the works in this museum makes it possible for popular and indigenous art to be seen as equal to urban or erudite art. The museum seeks to provide a dialogue between this type of art, assuming their differences, striving to undermine the official myth that popular and indigenous art can be reduced to folkloric, authentic, vernacular, our very own blah, blah, blah. That is, popular art can often be trivialized, stripped on its subtleties and differences. When Ticio Escobar, this scholar, wrote La belleza de los otros, that is, the beauty of the other, he recounts there the foundational story. Tupule, a powerful Ishir man, is delicately making a bracelet called oikakar. Escobar questions why it is necessary to add a line of multicolored feathers to something which appears to have already been finished, and received this answer, so that it looks more beautiful. This bracelet here, it's like, oikakar is like this. This bracelet is functional, ceremonial, shamanic, ritual, and therefore political, but at the same time, it is aesthetic. It should attract our attention through its shining beauty. Beauty become useful to fulfill social and cultural roles. Paraguayan art finds in the Museo del Barro a space in which we can see ourselves, in these many ourselves that we are, from multiple perspectives, talking to the we that in Paraguay means we are two, at least, because language always put that duality in evidence. These two ways of saying we make up a specific way of understanding identities. Museo del Barro, with every action it has undertaken, often outside the scope of what is considered usual from a museum, has tried to make more malleable the borders of certain academic categories. Following this model, it finds other ways of involving itself in the world. The postulation of indigenous and popular art comes from this ability to make the borders between different types of art more flexible. It looks to shake up the certainty of fields of knowledge, to move apparently fixed concepts so that we can observe that reality move, moves, letting one see what is out of sight, it appears. This is not the museum, this is an exhibition that we made. Indigenous and popular artists, from their ways of responding to their reality, attack the gaping wound. I always like to put in those words, the gaping wound that Western conception of the history of art has left open. The work of Museo del Barro evidence these other processes and contribute to the continual shaking of the borders that have been perhaps for too way long unmovable. So that's it.
I think we had a lot of coffee break.